All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. This is the first of what we're hoping will be a annual users group meeting, and we've got our quarterly trainings as well that we'll be sending out more notifications on. Um, oh, my batteries might be dying in this thing. Great. All right.
At least you can reach it.
Yeah. Oh, or maybe. There we go. All right. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes here talking about why we're here, what the WineryConnect mission is. And then I'll talk a bit about the key thing we provide, which is the Grape Squad service desk. I'll really quickly touch on the technology side of what we do around commerce ecosystems with quantum loop solutions and coordinated commerce before opening it up for discussion with Keelan. So pretty straightforward agenda. The WineryConnect mission is right here. It's on our website, so I won't read this to you. The short version is just that we're here to help wineries with IT. Technology is a pain and it's always changing, and there's an ongoing requirement because of that for human beings who understand technology, and for wineries in particular, there's a requirement for people who understand the really wide range of issues wineries deal with, both in terms of technology and specifically in terms of data, which I'll come back to. The Grape Squad service desk is the center for everything we do. Technically, we're what's called a managed service provider, or MSP, but that's just the modern way of saying we're an IT department. You can watch a video training of we did on our service desk with the link you can see here, but it's easy to access help. Just email support@wineryconnect.com to log an issue in our system, or call the Grape Squad hotline if you need to speak to someone immediately. And that will be registered in our system. And we are actively monitoring now what the image you see below here, which is our internal service desk dashboard. Keelan and I speak at 8 a.m. every morning, and then throughout the day, we're paying attention to this. And frankly, this is the first time I've dug into understanding and customizing a dashboard, when as a software developer, I've built dashboarding systems. So it's kind of funny. The key I now really understand viscerally is that with any dashboard is understanding what are called key performance indicators, these KPIs, and what they mean and the ones you care about monitoring. So in our case, the thing we care about most right now is new issues. And the core promise we make in our service level agreement is that you'll get a human response within a reasonable time frame. Of course, we'll do our best to either resolve your issues ourselves or work with our partners to come to a resolution. But the core thing we provide is a person who understands not just your industry, but your business, your products, and your customers. And for people here in the Finger Lakes, it's someone local that can come and help you with what you need in IT across the board, but specifically focused on wineries. And we've got a decade of experience now doing this. We started working with our first winery in 2013, and this is who we are. Pure and simple, we're technologists who understand the winery vertical, and we've curated a commerce ecosystem, which our clients have chosen over the last decade, and which we've learned how to support winery staff on across the different systems that wineries need to use. So our philosophy is to free staff to make great wine and engage consumers, and that's who we are. Now I'm going to jump up really quickly to a billion-foot level and go through the last 100 years or so of technology evolution. So you might want to strap yourselves in for this bit. This is me geeking out. So if we go back to the very beginning here of electronic technology, the adding machine and the teletype, the purpose of electronic technology has been to automate the things we do as humans that take us a lot of time. You jump forward to the introduction of the mainframe at the end of the industrial age, and you can see we added a layer of efficiency on top of the automation. So mainframes were able to take a bunch of business processes and make them efficient. Jump to the middle of the information age, and you've got the client server revolution, and then the internet, and systems started to get split up. But what that wave of innovation allowed is this level of effectiveness that was built on top of the efficiency. So you had a lot of competition with a lot of different vendors creating solutions that actually were effective in getting business results. finally, and what this slide is calling the shift from the information age to the digital age, you cloud and mobile and apps on your phone came around. And you can see that what happened at that point is things got even more splintered. So really fundamentally, the idea of a platform, one system that could do everything you need as a business is no longer viable. So platforms give way to business ecosystems. And this happened about in 2012, which is when we got going. And what that enables is this yellow scaling area over on the right, where innovation is possible with things like artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. And we're seeing that today, how AI is just really exploding. And but the key thing you need, and this is one of the themes I'm going to keep on coming back to, is access to good, clean data to be able to use that flexibility across the ecosystem. So ecosystems are inevitable. And we've seen just in the last decade this reality play out in the winery industry. There's been a huge amount of change in winery IT just as since we've been involved, and we've learned about the kinds of issues wineries deal with selling across agriculture, manufacturing and controlled substance, distribution, and DTC, particularly via wine clubs. And this is often in addition to supporting physical operations in one or more tasting rooms, restaurants, weddings, and events like Ventosa does here, and on and on. And since 2013, in fact, one of our clients has gone through 2 POS systems, and they're now on their 4th e-commerce system. Bottom line is technology is always changing, and wineries do such a wide range of things that they inevitably need multiple systems to get each job done right. And we've seen old systems fade out of use, new systems emerge, and we've even seen the new systems become old once or twice in the last decade across production control, e-commerce, and point of sale. And we've seen something of the effect those changes have on effectively managing regulatory compliance and deriving business intelligence, which again is the common theme I'm coming to here, that pulling data out of these systems and being able to do specific things that wineries need with that data that each of these core systems don't do is pretty critical. So that gets me to the biggest picture of who we are. The core company I started back in 2011 actually is called Quantum Loop Solutions. And from the beginning, QLS, the goal of QLS was to close the loop, which meant streamlining commerce across a diverse business ecosystem. In 2013, we focused in on wineries with WineryConnect, and that's where what we're here for today. Keelan's going to take over in a short moment, and we'll open the floor for discussion on whatever's most important to everyone in the meeting today. But first, I'm going to talk really briefly about the other side of what Quantum Loop Solutions does, which is coordinated commerce. It's the brand we're now using for our technology. So these are the coordinated commerce offerings. Many of you know about WineryConnect, which was a social network we built a few years ago to help consumers interactively tour the wine region and connect with producers and products that they love. We got some real traction with that, with producers and with consumers, and with a real nice iPhone touring app we put out. But we ran into some data issues of our own in terms of keeping the winery data accurate. And more importantly, we couldn't find a path to monetization, which is what happens very often with, consumer-facing technology. So that's on hold right now. Yeah, but we will be coming back to that. What we did find traction with, and what our main offering is today, is this thing called VinESB, which is a vertically integrated enterprise service bus, which is now kind of dated phrase for what's now known as a integration platform as a service. So this is our hub that connects the pieces of our ecosystem so that we can sync customers, products, and orders between Revel and TrueCommerce, Nexternal, Shopify, and very shortly WooCommerce. And we've got a bunch of clients using that. In the process, and very recently, what we figured out is that this needs to be rebuilt. And so we're starting from the ground up with everything we've done and learned from WineryConnect and VinESB and the other things we've built. We built a reward club module, a few other things. We're now building what we're calling the coordinated commerce fabric, which is a ground up rebuild of all the technology we've done into a sophisticated multi-tenant system to provide what's called data as a service to our clients. So to get into what that means, just again, really quickly and conceptually, a multi-tenant system is like a virtual apartment building. And you can see here, the different apartments, the idea is different people in the different apartments are going to want to use different things and be flexible. And the way they do that is through services. And what we're talking about here specifically are tenant data services that allow flexibility in terms of what you do in your virtual apartment. And those are enabled by this coordinated commerce fabric. So that's a little bit abstract. And so to make it a little more concrete, here's a diagram of a typical business architecture, or a building architecture, I should say. And what you can see is the plumbing, the water and the sewage and the electricity not pictured on here. These are the systems that are built into the walls of buildings that allow flexibility, right? So you can have whatever sink you want, whatever bathtub you want, different kitchen appliances. And the way you can do that is because you have these systems built into the walls that are standardized and reliable. You know, you turn on the tap, your water is going to be there. You know, when you plug something in, you're going to get electricity. And that's what CCF is about. But in this case, it's actually even simpler. It's just data that we're talking about, syncing. And what that does, most importantly, is allow you to have flexibility in the systems you use. So you're not going to be plugging in kitchen sinks and showers into your virtual apartment. You're going to be deciding what are the best systems we want to use for point of sale, for e-commerce, for production control, for the various things you need to do as a business. And we're going to build it. We're building this infrastructure so that you can flexibly use whatever system you want. And this I will read off here because this is really the shortest way of saying it is CCF is a pure multi-tenant cloud native platform for omni-commerce tenant data services. And what we mean by that are things like reporting analytics, which we'll get into a little bit more, business process automation, taking things you do on a repeated basis and automating those, and then integrating systems across this curated partner ecosystem we've developed and will continue to develop as we work with our clients and figure out what works best for wineries. To put a point on all of this, we have established what we call the Winery Advisory Group. And what we do in that group is discuss these highest level common winery IT needs where we might be able to build technology to do things wineries need. And the first thing we're going to do with CCF, we did a lot of things with ViniSB. What we're going to start with CCF is extracting data from Revel. So we're going to really reliably and in a multi-tenant way where we can turn on a switch and any of our clients that are using Revel will be able to pull all their Revel data into CCF, and then we'll be able to crunch it and turn it into specific reports and analytics that wineries need. One thing we have got experience with is excise tax. So we've got one customer today that's paying us for ViniSB, and all we're doing is sucking data out of Revel, crunching it into a form that they can use to file their help with their interstate excise tax filings, and then feeding it back to them in a spreadsheet that gives them the data they need. So we're going to productionize that and make it available for everybody. There's reports people have been asking us for around customer loyalty. We're going to be able to build into this. So, and really the most broad thing we'd love to do is what we're calling a winery business scorecard. And you can see the video that's on this link here. It's me talking to Tunker Hosmer, doing a dry run for my Eastern Winery Exposition talk I gave in 2022 and on data mastery. And it's a real short video, 10-15 minutes. So if you've got time, I'd love you to watch that and think about what we can do for you around data and reporting and analytics on top of the data you already have in Revel that we can extract and just get you more intelligence out of. So please send me an email if you're interested in joining the Winery Advisory Group, or if you've got any ideas. And with that, I'm going to hand this over to Keelan. And as I say, just open discussion, whatever anybody wants to talk about, very specifically around the technology you're using today, and how we might be able to help you use it better.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, I mean, as you can kind of see on the screen there, these are the general kind of things that I cover on a day-to-day basis. I'm more boots on the ground, in-person support, that sort of thing. So I have a lot of knowledge around these particular systems, obviously the ones that we support, but also, other systems like Commerce 7 WooCommerce, different types of point of sales like Square, Clover, all that sort of thing. And the core, question that I always, try and come back to when I'm asking wineries is, what are the different pain points that you have? A lot of people who, choose certain platforms, they choose them because it answers one business problem, but then it leaves you with other business problems. So the first thing is that, questions from me is going to be things like, okay, what are the pain points? Where are you guys suffering right now that maybe we could help today, or maybe there's something that we could build. As Sam mentioned, excise tax is something that we've been looking to, a module we've been looking to build to be able to automate that for people, because it's really simple stuff, but it takes a while to, go through and you first you have to count all your bottles, then you have to convert it to gallons and all that sort of stuff. These are the types of things we're looking to systematize. So that way, when we have all of the data in our, in the fabric, in our WineryConnect fabric, you can then just click a button and it'll, generate your excise tax reports for you. So those are kind of the general things that I'm looking to see here. As Sam mentioned, we work directly with Revel. Revel's really the primary point of sale that we support. I have experience, like I say, with Square and Clover, and that sort of thing. And then in terms of e-commerce, we have experience with, as you can see, WooCommerce there, and TrueCommerce and External, and a little bit of Shopify. But I'm also interested to know what platforms everybody else is using. Like I say, Commerce 7 is coming up a lot these days on the wine club end. On the point of sale end, not so much. They're an all-in-one system that works pretty well, but the point of sale has certain pieces that are lacking, and that's kind of where we're trying to make our differentiation in terms of being able to plug all these systems in, so you can have the exact genetic makeup of your winery, so to speak. So yeah, I want to hear from you guys, here, what are some of the things that you're struggling with today that maybe we could help with today, or if there's anything, anything like that. Go ahead, starts off.
Well, the one thing came up yesterday. We're in our wine club. This is just sort of like can you make the system do this? We're in our wine club month, and so frequently people are coming in and they're doing a wine club tasting. We don't charge them for that, but
Sure.
we put it through Revel. At that point, it does, because it's zero that they owe us. They never ask for a tip.
Gotcha.
And the staff is becoming upset.
Sure. Yes, that makes sense.
So, I guess the question is around how does that,
How do you collect a tip on a $0
yes,
sale?
because it will not allow you to tip greater than your bill.
Yeah, so that's a thing. I think a setting we can change with Revel, because there was some legality around tips over 50% or something like that, or
Right.
tipping more than your bill, which
Right.
has been answered. So I'll get him. I have a note. I'll take a note right now on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, perfect.
And then there was also the question we had earlier about being able to collect people's zip codes.
Yep.
That would be along the lines of what you were trying to do earlier. We don't really necessarily want to have their email addresses. We're just trying to figure out where people are coming from so that we know where to target our marketing
Sure.
efforts.
On that one, actually, I was curious. So I talked with Revel on this and we looked
Mhm.
at it a bit, and because this is sort of a type of problem that I imagine will cover, or if this is, if we've got a solution to this, I think it might cover a lot of things. It seemed like the most efficient way. I think what you're saying you want to do is when the cashier is taking an order, as simply as possible, capture the zip code of the customer, nothing
Right.
else. Because you don't want to take the time to get the customer information and put it on the order and this kind of stuff,
Right.
or you can't because you're busy. What seemed to be the most efficient way that we found talking with Revel was on the order, if you click, I think the Revel logo in the upper left, it pops up a notes field and you can put anything you want in that.
Mhm.
So does that it make sense as a way to capture the zip code? Just put it in the notes on the order?
Does that then collect it in one central place, or is it on each individual order and we then have to go back and collect it?
That's the next thing. So yeah, no, that's on each individual order.
Right.
And then what we would need to do is in CCF. So this gets to what I'm talking about. We
Right.
would build a report. We'd suck all the data out of Revel because I confirmed with Revel that notes field on the order isn't in, you can't run a report and search on that or do
Right.
it because Revel's just not, doesn't have that flexibility
Right.
built in. So this is exactly the kind of thing we're looking for where on an order, if we create a process where you say anything you want to track on the order, zip code or whatever, you could just put the notes field, put in there. We can extract that and then get you consolidated reporting for what you say, how many people from this zip code, right? You visited, ordered, what's the total dollar amount of what they ordered? Does that sound like what you're?
That does sound, yeah, if you were able to consolidate it for us, then, yeah, because I know you go other places and they ask you for your zip code and
Yeah.
it seems like it should be, it's something that's out there in the world.
Right.
We
Yeah.
would like to be able to do that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
And that's also the other questions around data that we have, or not questions, but things that we're trying to do is, more robust reporting, more analytics, I guess is maybe even the better word, but it's like, yeah, who purchased what from where, when, and, what do they
Right.
frequently purchase? What do people in their area purchase? Like getting towards that level of data where we can say, you're going to do a targeted email blast to Pennsylvania, for example, because we do get a lot of people from Pennsylvania, and you can see that, okay, well, from this whole area, everybody's buying peanut. Okay, so let's
Right.
send an email blast out to these guys and say, here's 10% off your first order of a case of Pinot, or that sort of thing.
Right.
So that's the type of stuff we're trying to get to here, and being able to integrate multiple systems and do that flexibly across platforms. That's again just always kind of been the goal, and we've said it before, but now we're very clear on in terms of the technology. That's what we're trying to do,
Right.
and then obviously me here supporting it and making sure things are
Right.
plugged in.
Right.
But yeah, any other questions or anything?
I'm good.
Sure.
Uh,
How
that's
about
good.
for our people on Zoom? Is there any questions or anything like that?
I have one thing. So I don't know if I've talked to you guys about this before, but when I'm doing sales tax
Mhm.
quarterly, there's it's not broken out. So we use ship compliant
Sure.
for our state, like all of our other state reporting. But we use Commerce 7 for our commerce. But they don't break it out by county. So, and that's what I have to report by. So that's something that, I mean, I do it and I do a VLOOKUP and it's fine, but it would just take a couple steps out if it would just spit out a report that would summarize all my sales in New York by county. So that's kind of my pain point, I guess.
Yeah, that is I guess, an interesting point. I guess I didn't really think about how, so obviously ship compliant is the regulatory for the shipping, and then Commerce 7 is just generally commerce. But I guess that makes sense that ship compliant wouldn't worry about county, they're just worried about state compliance. So the question was, is there a way to have the system break out by county? Break things up.
Yeah, in just New York State, because ship compliant takes care of every other state that we have. They just won't file for New York State. So it's something that I have to do, which is fine. It's just adds a couple more steps when Commerce 7 doesn't break it out by county.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, what we'll do with this type of thing in general, say, is check with Revel, if we don't know of anything in Revel, and see if there's anything we can do directly in Revel, because that's the shortest path, obviously. But I'm guessing that Revel doesn't have any reporting that would easily do this. So this would be another case of where that'll be one of the reports we'd add to what we build in CCF version 1.0 here. And then that would presumably work with the zip code as well. So, if you've got a customer on the order and their full address, then you know exactly what county in there, but the zip code should get us that as well. So even if we only have their zip code, we can probably do that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. All right. Well, I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. I think Sam pretty much covered everything he wanted to cover. We're going to send out a recording of this to everybody. I don't know if there's anything
Well,
else
let's poke a little bit. Colleen, Jimerson, anybody have any other questions? Your thoughts?
I just wanted to listen along and, you know, because we kind of try to tackle all of our issues in-house at the moment, but you know, of course, things are always popping up. So I just kind of wanted to listen and see what you guys did and, you know, offered and whatnot. So all good on my end.
Good. No, that's a good trigger for me, just to let you know, one of the core, I talked about the WineryConnect mission, but that really ties to the vision and purpose of the company. And one of which is we want to do social good here. We want to create middle skill jobs that can be virtual. So we can have, and because winery staff, shouldn't have to learn about a bunch of different technology. They should be able to engage consumers and make great wine and this kind of stuff. So we're trying to, create jobs here for that. So understand the sentiment, you want to do things in-house, but just when at any point, if you feel like you'd like to not have one number to call for IT stuff, then that's what we're here for.
Totally, yeah. And that's been more of a budget decision than anything else. But certainly, yes, having experts to call is I can see the value in that, no doubt.
But I just wanted to give Keelan a public thank you for all the time he spent at our place 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, something like that.
figuring out a problem that just would not go away. And he hung in there until way late in the day.
I got to sit on the back, look at the lake. It wasn't all
And
bad. It had wine.
Worked with another tech from another company. It was really, it was priceless. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that actually reminds me, one of the things I wanted to do is make a shameless request for referrals, and we've got this now really clear. We've been at this a while, and we know this is the center of what we do. Really pure and simple. It's just human beings supporting other human beings with constantly changing technology, and we want to grow that now. So if there's anybody knows that could use some help, we're here to help with IT.
We also sent these guys out. I don't know if any of you received them. They're these little IT cards. I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera or not.
Here, let me.
Yeah, oh, there we go. Focused in.
Oh, yeah.
We sent these guys out, little postcards.
I'll blur the background. Yeah, this is our little mascot. I'll introduce. This is It. So you can see him on our website, and It is comes from outer space and looks a little funny, talks a little funny, but he's got a smile on his face and a glass of wine in his hand, and he's here to help. That's us.
It's us. Cool. All right. Well, I think with that, probably end the recording. I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, sure. Unless anybody one more going once, going twice. Any questions and thoughts? All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
So I do have a question, which I don't think was really